We're turning now to an age-old parenting battle. The kid wants to quit a sport or activity, and the parent wants them to stay in. If your family is experiencing this, my next guest has advice that might come as a surprise. She says you need to detach from the outcome and let your kid make their own decision. I can hear the gasp right now. Mental performance coach Ashely Kuchar is joining me to explain. It's always great to have you, Ashely.
Thanks for having me.
Let's set the scene first before we jump into that opinion, which I'm so eager to hear more about. It's a battle I think almost every family experiences. Underneath it, what precipitates it? What pushes a kid to the point of wanting to quit?
Yeah. So number one reason kids want to quit is because it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Now that could be for a lot of reasons. It could be there's a lot of pressures, they don't know how to handle it. It could be their coach is yelling at them all the time. Maybe there's a conflict with a friend. There's lots and lots of issues that could be underneath the reason that the kid is ready to give it up.
But there's a reason.
There's a reason.
And I imagine that's kind of where a parent should begin, is what's that reason?
Yes.
Are there time waves, like psychologically? I've heard a lot of my friends say, I have a third grader, an 8-year-old, and they say, oh, that's a time when they want to quit everything. Psychologically, are there times in their lives or seasons where they're more prone to pull back from something hard?
Sure, there could be. I think it probably depends on the kid.
Sure.
And often it is it because it's hard? And if that's the reason, then let's dig into that, right? Or is it because their coach is abusive and they want to be on a different team? Or because they want to do something different, right? So definitely understanding the why is the number one.
Understanding that why, kind of getting in their head, regardless of the reason, whether you agree with it or not, getting inside what they're feeling.
And helping them understand why, because they might not know. A third grader might not know why, they just know I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And a 17-year-old might not want to talk about it, so maybe analyzing it from maybe their perspective best you can is the way to go. You say it's ultimately up to the kid to decide and not the parent, but the parent should aid the kid from a parenting process.
Right. So the decision-making process is really important, and if you can help facilitate that, that's going to be the biggest learning. Here's the thing. The kid does not want to disappoint the parent, and the parent probably has an opinion that they want to have. Usually,
yes.
And so it can be really tricky to have both of those two things come together, but if the parent can really help the kid understand, why do I want to quit? What's the best option for me? Where should I go? And the kid knows my parent has the best interest in mind, that's the ultimate goal.
Well, that's a different conversation. That's a totally different tone. So how might we help them arrive to a sound decision?
Yeah. First, asking those questions, why do you want to quit? What are the pros? What are the cons? What's underneath? And if the kid isn't really willing to open up to you, then you might need to find another avenue or another person to talk to to help get at some of those underlying issues.
Is that one of the reasons parents come to you, is help us dissect this and figure this out?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it can be from either end. It could be helping the parent understand what are the things I'm bringing to the table that is making this conversation hard, or helping the kid dissect and understand really what's going on, separating their decision from I'm disappointing my parent.
Got it. And this speaks to maybe, the younger child, not necessarily the more mature athlete. But I think my third grader also might not want to brush her teeth, but I have her do that. So where does sports fall in this discussion of what's good for them, what pushes them, what helps them grow? How does sports line up with that?
Yeah. So with brushing their teeth, we can think about all the benefits and reasons why they should brush their teeth. There's really not many cons. They should brush their teeth, right? With sports, there's also a lot of really big benefits, right? It could be the exercise, it could be friendship, it could be learning and growing, it could be navigating hard things. And so if those are the reasons why they want to participate in sport, then let's shift them that direction. But if they're not getting that and it's actually harming them, they're feeling lower self-esteem, there's conflict on their team, then maybe it isn't the best situation for them in general, right? So it is a tricky balance.
You say options are an important component of this should I quit, should I not conversation.
Yes. So let's say the kid wants to quit because they're not having fun. Well, are there other avenues to have fun or to build friendship, right? So sports can be one excellent avenue, helping the kid explore different options, whether it's staying in their sport, maybe it's switching to a different sport, and just digging deep into those options. Also, if they're saying that they want to quit, can they just take a break for a week and see, let's talk to your coach. Can we take a break? See how you feel. If you really miss it, then let's go back to it. I know a lot of parents want to say, you have to be in it for a year and then you can quit later, which is an option. And also, can we give them options on the other end of, can we take a break and see what happens?
That's a good point. I did want to ask you about that, this idea of a quitting criteria. I've heard of families say what you described, we signed up for a season, gosh darn it, we're going to wear that jersey that I paid for the whole season. I've heard parents say, well, if you drop one thing, you need to pick up something else. What's your general opinion on a quitting criteria?
Yeah. It's okay, right? Again, but what if the reason they want to quit is because they're getting abuse from their coach? And then we're saying you have to stay in it for a whole year. You could see how that could be a bit of a conflict.
Yeah.
If we're posing a couple options, say, hey, yeah, look, we committed to this, right? Can we do this? Can I help give you the tools you need to make this a good experience? Because if the reason they're not having fun is they're not getting playing time or they don't know how to navigate this, then can you say, hey, let's go talk to Ashely. Let's give you the tools you need so that throughout this year you're having a good experience, and then we'll reevaluate afterwards, right?
Everything you've described, though, does require, kind of back to point one, that detachment as a parent. Like, I can't make this about me, which sounds easy to say. It's not always easy to practice.
Not easy.
For a parent to do. Even if we help them with their decision, what if, Ashely, we ultimately get down the road and they regret it? They want to come back. How can we navigate that return?
Yeah. So one, if you've been thoughtful through your decision-making process, the chance of regret is lower, because that can anchor us of like, I really thought it out. I did the best thing that I could in that moment, right? So the regret is less likely. If the regret does come up, it's just giving you information. What have you learned? What do you regret? Is it playing time? Is it being with your friends? And again, going through that process, can I go back to my sport, right? Or this activity? Or is there another avenue where I can gain that same fulfillment? So regret is uncomfortable, but it can be really, really useful in understanding what do I need and what helps me thrive in my life.
I love that point, that if you've done it thoughtfully, regret is minimized. As a mental performance coach, Ashely, in conclusion, do you find that if kids thoughtfully approach this decision, they typically make the right decision?
Yeah. And right or wrong, like who says what's right and what's wrong,
Yeah.
right? I think that we get to decide what's right for us. And it can be a very difficult process, let me just say that. And having someone who can support you through that can be helpful on both sides to help them. They've made the decision, they can't go back. Well, let's make it the best decision that they ever made.
Yes. How can we get in contact with you?
FellowBetterTraining.com, reach out, here to help. I love helping parents and kids with these tough conversations.
You're good at what you do. You see her website on the screen. We will link you from our website as well. Thank you for the advice.
Thank you very much.